Welcome to SDH's coverage of the USL League Two playoffs. We're down to the round of 8. 4 on the left-hand side of the bracket, Western and Central. 4 on the eastern side, the right-hand side of the bracket, Eastern and Southern. We'll get you through what happened to get us to the final 8. We'll start things off in the left-hand side of the bracket. Your matchup, Project 510, FC Tucson, Flint City, and Peoria City. That matchup with Flint City and Peoria City is going to be huge. Right-hand side of the bracket, it is at Lions Bridge, Asheville City, Corpus Christi, Lions Bridge, and Seacoast United. And how did we get to Seacoast United Phantoms, Lions Bridge, Asheville City, Corpus Christi, Flint City Bucks, Peoria City, Project 510, and FC Tucson? Here's how it happened. In the Western Conference, Project 510 in a shootout over United PDX 5-4. At Keno North, FC Tucson beat Ventura County Fusion 1-0. Central Conference, Flint City, 2-1 winners over Fort Wayne in added extra time and in a crazy one that went to the shootout. Peoria City, Des Moines Menace, weather, rain, storms, lightning, delays, all of it. That's how you ended up with Peoria City 5-5 with Des Moines Menace after 90. After 120, Peoria City wins it at Shea 4-2 in penalties to advance on to take on Flint City. Seacoast United ends Vermont Green's great first season. 3-0 winners there at Cary Stadium. Lions Bridge shuts out Salem City at Town Bank by the final of 2-0. Southern Conference, Asheville City over Brave SC. You remember them as the Villages. Final score there 2-1 at the Buncombe County Sports Park. We'll get into that coming up in just a little bit. And Little Rock Rangers losing to Corpus Christi at War Memorial in penalties. 1-1 after 90, 1-1 after 120, 5-4 in the penalties. Corpus Christi advances to take on Asheville City at Lions Bridge. And so you've got half of the world at Town Bank, the other half of the world at Shea Stadium. Let's set you up for the matchups. Project 510 and FC Tucson. That one's the early one on July 26th. Also, Peoria City, Flint City, that's your nightcap. How did these two teams get there? Here's your highlights from 25 News Now on WNEM TV.
Well, good Sunday evening, Central Illinois. I'm Patrick McCabe. What a day it has been here in Peoria at Shea Stadium as two soccer powerhouses, Des Moines Menace and your hometown, Peoria City SC, face off in a tough Central Conference semifinal matchup. The first goal of the game would come off of a Jose Gomez cross into the box, and Justin Wilson falling down somehow gets that ball to go into the back of the net to set the tone early in this one. The two sides would trade goals until the dying moments of the game. Peoria City down a goal. Josh Reddy unleashes a Hail Mary throw. Bounces around and finds the feet of Peoria native Fritz Vollmer, and he rockets it off at the fender into the back of the net to tie it at 4. The two sides would score one more goal each in the overtime periods, going to penalty kicks after that. Super Sammy Slimmy Well was super in penalty kicks, coming up with a huge save to set the tone for the shootout. And in the end, it was none other than Washington native and Peoria Notre Dame alum Miles Sofonavong knocking it in off the post to cap off one of the most incredibly thrilling soccer matches I've ever been a part of. Peoria City is moving on to the Central Conference Finals after their 6-5 win to take on perennial power Flint City Bucks.
Bucks were on the pitch today in the Central Conference semifinals looking to earn their third straight trip to the final. Standing in the Bucks' way was Fort Wayne FC. Starting in the first half, Flint City had a corner kick, and watch out, here come Schneider Mimi with a rocket of a header, and he scores to make it 1-0 Bucks. Fort Wayne now with a free kick chance. The Bucks try to clear it, but Fort Wayne keeps it in. Chris Blaze scores the rebound goal to tie things up 1-1. In the second half, things started to break down after a fight for the ball in front of the Fort Wayne's bench. Multiple cards were handed out, including a red card to Mimi. This game would head to extra time. Fort Wayne with a chance, but what a save from Jacob Gliziak. Second half in extra time, the Bucks are down 9 men to 11 after another red card. Scott Malloy throws it back, and Baraka Tarleton gets the header, and it is in the net despite being down 2 players. Tarleton score was the game winner with 6 minutes to go. The Bucks win it 2-1 and move on to the Central Conference Finals to face Peoria City.
It's huge. It's huge. Man, we went 2 guys down with 2 red cards, and we came back and we did it. We worked hard. Nobody on this team quit. Nobody from the bench to the organization. He's a dog! He's a dog! Let's go! Let's go! Man, it starts from the bottom up. Everybody would put everything into this.
I just told the guys in the locker room it's going to come down to just believing in the moments, and one player is going to get a big moment in a big game, and big players rise to the occasion, and unbelievable from Raka. It's crazy, down 2 men. I don't know. It's like a storybook in a little way.
Town Bank Stadium, Asheville City and Corpus Christi FC. SDH Network caught up with Asheville City head coach Scott Wells in the lobby of the hotel in Newport News, Virginia, to get his thoughts on the previous week and get you ready for the week that will be. Scott Wells, head coach of Asheville City, coming up here in just a little bit, where we can discuss what's going on in USL League Two. And I think my first question for him is going to be, are you in a hotel room? Are you in Virginia? Where are you? And where are preps, basically? And so I think that's probably the first question that we have. So let me see if we can battle connections and things like that. There he is. So Scott, where are you? Are you in a hotel room? Are you in a lobby someplace? Where are you?
Yeah, I am. I'm in the hotel lobby here in Newport News, Virginia. We're about 10 minutes away from Lion Bridges Stadium, so CNU, which is a lovely campus, absolutely lovely Division 3 program. So happy to be on. I appreciate all your coverage through the season.
Yeah, 10 minutes away from Christopher Newport, 10 minutes away from more steps in chasing after the title in USL League Two. So since the last time you were on with us, what has the sprint been like going, 2 days rest, you got to win. It's wash the jerseys, make sure everything's good to go. What's the sprint been like here in the playoffs so far?
I mean, I feel like we're doing a test run of the 21st century model right now, to be honest with you. It seems a while ago since me and you spoke. But yeah, things have gone really well. The staff and the organization have just been relentless and just done everything possible to make sure that we can focus and we can win games. And we've had a lot of success, some close games as well. But we've had a lot of experience leading up till today. So we're hoping that that's going to stand us in good stead moving forward today.
For someone who hasn't had the chance to see you guys play, and I know that you try to make sure that you ban folks from looking at the power rankings on the USL League Two website. You sit there and you go, that's not something that you're supposed to see. Don't go there. What has it been like, and who do folks naturally gravitate toward when they're looking there at Asheville City and you guys right now top of the power rankings in USL League Two? Who are some of the stars and studs that folks are gravitating toward this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we spoke about Simon Carlson, who's our captain, who has continued to do the same things that we spoke about last time. Sebastian Tregarfen is one that has really been such a standout play for us, and is a massive reason why we're sitting in this position right now. An NAIA player at Lindsay Wilson, which I think is important to point out. We have a lot of players at Division 1 level that have had a lot of coverage prior to coming to Asheville, but the Lindsay boys, Michael Rempel, Sebastian Tregarfen, and Mao Wong, have been fantastic for us. We re-recruited a little bit midway through as well, so we brought in Dante Huckabee and Sergio Navarro from West Virginia University, and then we just picked up App FC's striker just after they were beaten by Hickory, Niall Reed-Stevens. So some really promising talent that I've been lucky enough to work with this summer.
When you integrate, obviously you're trying to continue to make sure that your roster is as best as it can be week in and week out when you're there in USL League Two chasing a title. How difficult is it to find a player that you think will help, but having them integrate into what you're looking to do on the field and have them mesh as close to immediately as possible? How tough is that?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult because, when you bring the players in May, you're all on the same page, so it's a preseason feel. I'm able to kind of treat every player the same in terms of trying to build a relationship with them. So then when we do bring new players in, I'm trying to split time between continuing the culture of what we've got going on and continuing the success, but also have a mini preseason with some of these other players, and trying to get them integrated as soon as possible. So speaking to my leadership committee, letting them know who's arriving, when they're arriving, making sure they're not just going straight back to their host family or the apartment. Maybe it's a coffee with the captains. Maybe, there's a player or two that we feel would mesh really well with them from a characteristic standpoint. So we just do as much as we can from a man management point there to get them up to speed. But when they come in late on, with the facilities that we've been able to have this season, with the success, with where we've been at, I think that every player has came in and been very privileged and extremely grateful for coming into a program like this to continue helping their career. So they've put their front foot forward as well, and they've met us in the middle. So we've been really, really lucky that we've brought in great characters this year.
Asheville City getting ready for Corpus Christi FC on the right-hand side of the bracket. Lionsbridge taking on Seacoast United. That is the right-hand side of the bracket as we're now down to the final 8 in USL League Two. When you're assembling a roster, are you the one that's having all the outbound phone calls? Are folks ringing you up at the beginning of the season, say, hey, I want to come and hang out with you because I like what's going on there at Asheville? What's the assembly like? Or is your phone ringing off the hook, or are you making outbound calls? How does this work?
I'm probably pestering way too many coaches throughout the college season. We all binge watch college soccer, as a fan. And obviously it's exciting when you get to August, you get to go home and stick ESPN Plus on and watch so many games. So, I'm assembling my depth chart through the college season. We're obviously in a really good situation at Gardner Webb right now where, we've established our team. So, now it's a case of just making mental notes and writing down players that may want to come in and play for us in the summer. And so that it's been a challenge. But in 2022, when I first arrived, I really was having to pester a lot of coaches and really try and give them an idea of what I wanted to do here. At this point right now, it's been a lot more receptive. Players and coaches do want to come here. So when you have initial conversations, they know who we are. We have a target on our back at this point. So it's been a little bit easier to recruit as the years have gone on. But of course, the college coaches don't really want to be having USL 2 conversations, as they're entering a conference tournament. But that won't stop me calling them. I can assure you of that.
Well, and at the same time, you mentioned you with Gardner Webb and the collegiate relationships that are there. And then at the same time, you mentioned Lindsey Wilson, who is Mid-South NAIA. I mean, you're going from one end of the spectrum to the other. You're going D1, D2, D3, NAIA. You're catching it from all different angles here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very lucky, really, in my career. I started in the NAIA with the University of Rio Grande, where we won a national championship, and then obviously moved over to University of Charleston, where we won a national championship. So I'm a massive advocate for the NAIA in Division 2. And when I was at Rio, Lindsey Wilson were an absolute powerhouse, and they still continue to be. And some of the recruiting they've been able to do, has been great. So, I took a trip there, and I'll continue to take a trip there to see those players and help publicize them, because let's be honest, politically, those guys are not getting the same, the same coverage as a lot of the Division 1 players, and when they go back to Lindsey Wilson, will they be tracked as much by some of the scouts as some of the Division 1 players? Probably not. And again, that's one of my obligations as a USL 2 coach, to put them on the platform for the USL 1, the USL Championship, and the MLS Next. I said this on a previous podcast. We lost Rodrigo Robles halfway through the season. He signed a pro at Greenfield Triumph. That's absolutely hurt Asheville City. There's no question about it. But that was the right thing to do. That's why Rodrigo trusted the club, and he trusted me, is to be able to put him and project him into the pros. So, we've got some of the Lindsey boys. Sebastian Tregarthen has a lot of coverage right now from some of the scouts, some of the pro coaches. And it's an extremely rewarding job when it comes to stuff like that.
All right, scouting report for Corpus Christi. How much tape have you watched? What do you see in them, other than the fact that they got to travel a lot more than you did to get to Lionsbridge?
Yeah, well, obviously they played against Tennessee Soccer Club, and that was, in the opening round. So, we were able to watch that game. And one thing that we noticed is that they are relentless. They don't give up. I think there was 3 goals in the last 6 minutes of the regular time against Tennessee. And at times it looked like Tennessee had clinched it, but they didn't give up. So their mentality is extremely impressive or across the board. Even the players that were coming off the bench, their work rate out of possession was very, very impressive. And they do have an extremely decent front three. So we're aware of them. We've done a lot of research on them. We've sat down with our defenders and kind of gone through some video on them. But it's playoff football at this point. It's going to be whoever wants it the most. Tactically we can set up and continue to keep doing our identity. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to those little small margins, those little small moments of how bad we want it over them at this point.
What did you learn about yourself in the wins over Nona and Brave to get you to this point, do you think? So what do you think you learned about yourself in the wins against Nona and Brave to get you to this point with Corpus Christi?
A massive amount of resilience for sure. I mean, Nona are not a first round team. They were fantastic. They have a really, really good team. And I think if you look across the weekend, unfortunately for the club, we got an opportunity to host, but we didn't really host. We had to change venues. There was lightning delays. And so, my job over the weekend was trying to make sure that our group was still engaged and they didn't allow the lightning or the change of venues or the change of kickoff times to be a reason why we lost a game. So I think the biggest part of the adversity was just trying to get those guys to stay on board and continue to play the same way they have all season. And they did. I mean, they really did. We came out against Nona. It was 1-0. It was a very close game in the first half, and we put it to bed in the second half. And then, of course, Villages, who took care of us last year, it was a huge, huge game. We go 1-0 down, then we have a 3.5-hour break during the lightning delay. That's lingering on the players, right? I go down to the pavilion where we were staying during the lightning break, and I've never seen the atmosphere so depleted at that point. So my main job there was just kind of getting through as many individuals as possible, making sure hey, there's 60 minutes left here. We've got plenty of time. And then, I started to see a massive shift when our leadership group and the way that the boys kind of came back on the field was very, very impressive. So we've been through, especially last weekend, all the adversity we needed to be prepared for this moment today.
All right, go get the rest of the breakfast buffet there at the hotel. You probably have another 18 minutes. Good luck against Corpus Christi. Thanks for dropping by on a match day. Good luck tonight. Be safe. Have a good weekend. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Thank you so much, John. I appreciate you. Take care.
All right, that's Scott Wells, head coach at Asheville City. He's in a hotel, and he's in Newport News, Virginia. They're getting ready for their right-hand side of the bracket in USL League Two. It is them and Corpus Christi. It's Lionsbridge and Seacoast United. That is the right-hand side at Lionsbridge. Left-hand side, Project 510 and FC Tucson, Flint City and Peoria City. Flint City, Peoria City. That's going to be a fun one. They're on the left-hand side. We'll have our USL League Two preview coming up later today on the network, so keep an ear out for that. And then your nightcap at Lionsbridge, it is Lionsbridge hosting Seacoast United. Phantoms, obviously, will keep an eye on all of that stuff in the quarterfinals coming up this weekend. If you are near Shea Stadium, not the one in New York, but the Shea Stadium that's involved on the left-hand side of the bracket, or if you're at Town Bank Stadium on the campus of Christopher Newport University, or if you're near them, go visit. Great doubleheaders on display here on your Friday, getting you ready for the Final Four in USL League Two, but you got to go from 8 to the winners there to get to the 4, and then we'll figure out what the championship's going to look like after this weekend. But if you're near Shea Stadium and you can catch up with Project 510 FC Tucson, Peoria City, and Flint City, please do it. If you're near Town Bank in Newport News, Virginia, can catch up with Asheville City, Corpus Christi, Lionsbridge, and Seacoast United, please do it. If you are in market and can't make it, follow along on local providers and streaming services attached to your favorite clubs. If you're out of market and still want to keep track of what's going on, you can always follow along at USLLeagueTWO.com. You can follow along on Sports Engine. You can follow along through your favorite club and their social media, and you can always come back here and visit us here at SDH every single week to find out what's going on in USL League Two. Down to the Final 8. After the weekend, it's the Final 2. We'll figure out who's playing for a title after this weekend. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy the action in USL League Two.